My name is Cameron Carlson with AnimeLocation.tv. I'm here at Colossalcon 2016 with Mr. David Liebe Hart.
Hi, it's good to be here. You wanted to ask me how I got into the entertainment business?
Yep.
How I got into the entertainment business, my parents asked me to go to Goodman Theater for theater, acting, and ballet, cold reading. And I was in a play called Porky and Bess. And Marjorie Lord, who was a talent scout, she played Danny Thomas's TV wife on the Make Room for Danny show, the Danny Thomas show. And she was in the same Christian Science circle my parents were. And she had me to cold read Danny Thomas and Marjorie Lord paid for my family to come out in the 1960s for me to co-read for the Andy Griffith Show, which was a spinoff from the Danny Thomas Show. And I was supposed to get the part to be Opie's best friend, but my parents didn't want me to go into show business at a young age. So I kept on taking more acting classes, doing stand-up comedy. And in the 70s, I went on to pursue I said, I got to come back to California to pursue my dream. So I met Robin Williams at the Christian Science Church. He originally was Christian. He was raised in Christian Science like me, but he went to the Episcopalian Church. And him and I, just like I hang around a lot with Jonah doing music everywhere, I used to hang around with Robin Williams and do stand-up comedy at the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory in Southern California, and improvisation on Melrose in Los Angeles. And I went to LA City College to better my comedy, stand-up comedy, and Jonathan Winters was giving a comedy class in Lucille Ball at UCLA, and it was like 4 units, and LA City College, and I took comedy classes, and speech and speech 1, 2, 3, and 4, and acting and code reading. And I learned a lot from Jonathan Winters. He was super talented. He's originally from Ohio, right here.
Hey.
Other questions?
Yeah. So tell us about your roles on the Tim and Eric Awesome Show and the extensive tours around the world. I mean, you had discussed that you've been to San Diego Comic-Con and Tampa and places like that. So what's it like when you were touring with them?
Well, Tim and Eric, they're very talented guys. I got to keep it at a positive note. They're super talented guys. I didn't become famous until I did the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. I did Good Times. I did Golden Girls. I even did a lot of. I did walk-on part of Chico the Man, Comac production at NBC, and then I even did game shows like The Gong Show, The Price is Right, and 48 Hours. And I did Wings, but I didn't. That used to be on NBC. But the icing on the cake is when I got called to do the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. I mailed out thousands and thousands of pictures and resumes. And Ben Berwin, who was the casting director for the Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job. And Mike Chrysler, that's related to is Doris Day's great grandson, had me to come in and read for the Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job. And I read for the part, and they liked it. Then they gave me, asked me if I could write bizarre songs about UFOs, and so I had some UFO experiences. And Salome, which means hi and goodbye in Corinthian and Palladian, was the first song I wrote for the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job, absolutely production. And one thing grew to another. They had me, since I'm also an artist, they had me do a little animation as well for them, and they had me do voiceovers for them, and it just, our relationship grew till it's been now a 12-year relationship.
Nice.
Doing, I did 5 seasons of the Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job, and I did 7 seasons, but they all haven't aired, of Check It Out with Dr. Steve Rule, which is a spinoff. And then there were some other shows that were in between, like Bulls and Latinos, that was supposed to be a Zach Zalbanaka spinoff that didn't take. And then Neil Hamburger had a game show that didn't take. And then one of the Clark Rakers told me that Eric Andre got booked up with a lot of work. I'm happy for his success. The Y Show, Brooklyn Nine, and doing Horizon commercials. So Clark Rankers, who does the casting directors for that show, they had me do a little bit of pit parts for there, but they decided not to air my part since Hannibal is such a popular character. They used clips they didn't use and cut out the part I was supposed to do. I did the Tim and Eric $1 Million movie. I was supposed to have a bigger part in music ever since I was a kid. I started off, Kathy Case gave me, and Miss Volk and Miss Waller, the Christian Science Church, gave me music, piano lessons, and voice lessons at the First Church of Christ Scientists in Park Forest, Illinois. And then I took organ lessons from a woman named Zephra from Eighth Church in Chicago that used to be at 44th and Michigan in Chicago. That church is closed and something else now. But that was my my birth, and I was lucky to have some famous celebrities as acting teachers. I was shocked that this guy named Walter Brennan, I didn't know he was so famous. I had him a couple times as a Sunday school teacher, and he told me that I should pursue my acting career. And then I had Jim Henson as a Sunday school teacher in the Christian Science Church. Yeah. And he was a very talented, and he taught us the Beatitudes and the Ten Commandments with the puppets. And and then my downtown Chicago, I started going to 17th Church of Christ Scientists, where Bert Stillston was a member that did Kukla, Fred, and Ollie. And he gave me a lot of free things of working with puppets and everything. And then because my Caucasian side of my family worked the Underground Railroad, I'm part German and Irish and Scandinavian and French. The Germans helped free the blacks through the Underground Railroad because they weren't accepted by the English, and the Irish also came over, faced a lot of persecution, and they helped the African American race out. There would have been no Harriet Tubman or Frederick Douglass if it wasn't for the Friends Quaker Church and the Lutherans and the liberal Presbyterians that knew what the struggle the blacks were going through with slavery.
Right. And not only are you an actor, but a musician, a painter, a collector of puppets, obsessed with trains and communications with extraterrestrials. Do you have any free time to sleep?
Jonah won't let me have any free time. I love him like the son I never have. I've been working with him for 3 years. He's Jewish and he wants to make that money from me, so he's got me booked all over the place. He's got me booked so I don't even have time to breathe. I got 100 shows. I've been working with him since January all the way until now, and I'm going to be working consistent with him September. He's a very talented guy. I'm very lucky to have him aboard working with me. He's more honest and straightforward than that other guy I used to work with.
Okay. That sounds really well. And now, what does your extremely supportive diehard fan base mean to you as they came up with you as you're moving forward?
Well, my fans are like the family I never had. They come to my shows and support me, and to see the smiles and the happiness on their face makes it all worthwhile. Giving them joy and letting and always having time for them. I used to be a school teacher, and you have to have a lot of patience with your fans because they call me sometimes all hours of the night. But I try to give them my love and my support and watch them.
Sounds good. Right. Now tell us about the new album Astronaut, and your travels around the globe to promote the new album.
Well, Astronaut is about experiences I really had. I stayed with my Caucasian cousin, who was originally from Connersville, Indiana, and also Erie, Pennsylvania. The McKinnons and the Rexingers and the Druckers, and they were my their grandmother, Nanny Rexinger, was first cousins to my grandmother Schroeder, and I stayed with my cousin Phyllis McKinnon for 15 years. She was a retired Army officer that worked at Wright-Patterson's Air Force Base as a secretary, and she inspired me to write a song called New Technology, because she'd always told me, shared with me way back in the 1980s, the computer and the tablet and the cell phone, and she said all this back engineering technology would be in everybody's home and business by year 2000, and she was right. It came to pass. She died in 1992 of Hopkins disease, but she shared a lot of insights with me about the back engineering technology. Also, my grandmother, Wright Schroeder, told me that I'm on my Caucasian side, I'm related to the Wright brothers and distantly related to President Grant. They both are from Ohio. Shared with me that they were Presbyterian. Orville and Wilbur Wright were originally Presbyterian ministers. For some strange reason, the Scottish and the German and the Irish seemed to intermarry a lot. Called New Technology, which inspired me with the astronaut, on the astronaut album. I also wrote a song about the Pickle Man and Mr. Moose. I lived in a haunted house in Chicago, Illinois. And the policeman that sold the fourplex to my parents, that the house was haunted by his 3 dead German Shepherd dogs. And my mother said, oh, this is just garbage, that doesn't exist. But my dad, when he was growing up, experienced a dragon when he lived in Cleveland, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that used to be in the window and scare him and haunt him. And so he understood the drama I faced with the Pickle Man and Mr. Moose. There were 3 ghosts. They were devious. After I cleaned my room, they would throw everything around like I didn't do anything. They would tickle me.
Now, for fans that are about to watch your show tonight, what can they expect with your puppets and your video accompaniment?
Well, they can expect a lot of comedy, a lot of joy, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of love, and a lot of talent. And I write about things I've experienced and what I've been through.
What does it mean to have Jonah travel with you and be part of the show? And of course, you're backing you up as a musician.
Well, he's super talented, but I don't like him sharing his cold with me. I had to buy. I bought wipers for him to wipe his hands. He doesn't hardly want to use them, and liquid. Other than that, he's a very talented guy. I'm very lucky I have him to work with me, but I don't like when he gets into those really moody moods.
Alrighty. And now, is there any upcoming projects that you want fans to know about or to check out?
I'm going to be doing Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule. Season 4 is airing in June. I'm going to be doing I'm very lucky to have Jonah working with me. He's super talented and super supportive of me. He and I are putting out a new album, and I wrote a song called I Haven't Had Sex Since 1994. And then I wrote a song about a railroad I took called the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad. I used to take it to family reunions, and it's disappeared, but it used to run with the New York Central. It was a brown and gray yellow train that ran to Erie, Pennsylvania, and my family either took it to Cleveland, Ohio, or Columbus, Ohio, or Dayton, Ohio, where my family comes from, and they took it to Pittsburgh, and we took it to Erie, Pennsylvania, and Germantown, Pennsylvania, and it ran all the way to New Jersey, and it started at Union Station. And then I wrote a song about another ghost experience. I lived when my parents moved to Park Forest, Illinois. Fortunately, my sisters enforced my writing and sold my mother's home behind my back, and I was supposed to be on the state. They took my name off, put my Uncle Danny's name on there. I have to do a lot of forgiving about that. As Christian Science says, I have to wait and love more for every hate and fear. No ill since God is good and loss is gain. I have to do a lot of forgiving about that one.
Yeah, takes a while. Alrighty, now how can fans keep up with you online via a website or social media?
Well, Jonah controls my website. They go to artbyliebehart.com. It's ARTBYLIEBEHART. I was so shocked when I got my grandmother Schroeder gave me my family diary before she died, and I was so shocked when I was looking at them from the 1900s. in the 1800s, it had a M-A-N-N at the end of the name, and it was cut off. Then they cut off the Liebe. Some family just go by Hart, and I go by Liebe Hart, since I found that that the family name used to be longer.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tell your fans?
Well, I want to tell your fans that if you have a dream to become an actor or a musician or whatever, and you need to believe in your dreams. You need to know that you're like, I asked Doris Day, she gave me the recipe that helped her become successful when I met her at the Beverly Hills Christian Science Church. She told me, you've got to know that you're success in action and that you are a winner, not a loser, and that you are loved, cherished, respected, and appreciated, and that you can achieve anything you want if you put your mind to it. My acting teacher, my voice teacher, Bill Provost, was very talented, and he used to tell me, when you rule your mind, you rule your world. He says you can get good grades if you rule your mind, that you can get them. And Jesus says, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So we are what we think, we are what we believe.
Alrighty, thank you so much for coming and talking with us, David. It's been such a pleasure to learn from you and hear your experiences. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you for interviewing me.